Alright everyone, the hilarious irony and lack of self-awareness in YouTube's latest email that it sent out to partner creators is pretty funny. I'm actually going to read parts of it. I put this on Twitter, and link in the description, you can see it posted there for yourself. And I'm thinking to myself, it's such hogwash. I'm going to read part of this to you. I've actually got the image open here. Now keep in mind, this is an email that was sent by Twitter to people who are in the Partners program. So I'm going to read through. This is the one they sent me. I've clipped part of it out, and the whole thing was kind of long and obtuse, but I'll focus on a few important elements. Styx Hexenhammer 666. When 2020 went off script, you kept us inspired by uploading 9,782 minutes of content. You're welcome, by the way, for doing so much work for you. Your hard work's worth celebrating. Let's take a moment to reflect. Hashtag my year in review. Isn't that wonderful? So I'm being celebrated by a site that is actively shadow banning me. That is actively, keep in mind, YouTube only last week made a blog post in which they bragged openly about the fact, in response to criticism by the MSM, that something like almost 90% of all traffic that related to the election and to news and politics was being funneled to authoritative sources. Let me remind YouTube, that means Fox, CNN, and groups like that directly compete with me. People watch my videos if they can even find them on your site now that I'm shadow banned, and the related videos are like half Fox News. They're not creators that I myself support. I use de-mainstream YouTube, essentially. You should get de-mainstream YouTube if you want to see YouTube for what it really is, minus all the junk MSM shit. If everyone was using that, then their manipulation of algorithms would become useless, by the way. Or you could just use another site at this point. From your first video upload until now, your fans have smashed that like button 22.5 million times. That's a lot of likes. By the way, and at the end of here, your fans can't get enough. Your videos received 8.2 million likes in 2020. A third of all the likes on my videos happened in the course of 1 out of the 12 years that I've been on the platform. That's significant. With 81,098 new subscribers and 91 million new views, it's safe to say your content was one of the bright spots of the year. It'd be nice if I could get some recognition for that beyond an email that's a complete farce. By the way, that means that almost a third of all the views on the platform, or something like 28% or some shit, have been in a single year too. I've managed to accomplish this while I've been shadow banned and algorithmically manipulated the entire year. The shadow banning is more recent. That's roughly 2 days after the election is when that began. I was already being suppressed. I already got, for like 2 years now, I've gotten reports from people. I got unsubscribed from you. I can't find your videos even if I copy the title in to search verbatim. You're never in my related videos. You've clearly been blocked from trending. I've been defamed by MSM outlets. I've been essentially defamed by YouTube by declaring me worthy of algorithmically demoting. They built a priority platform that initially was to prevent their algorithms from banning like late night talk show hosts and stuff for covering edgy topics. The idea was that the bots would bypass their channel because they were marked as explicitly safe. You know, Fox News is not going to have porn on the screen and stuff. And NBC News is not going to start shouting racial slurs. And so they just gave them that pass, but now they've extended priority status to being specifically, basically like a promotion by YouTube to the detriment of literally everyone else within their subgenre categories. There are tens of thousands of priority users of a broad spectrum of styles. It's not just news. It's not just politics. Keep in mind, over the next 2 years, if nothing changes, if there's no groundswell paradigm shift against censorship, YouTube will institute shadow banning on non-political channels. You will see it essentially throttle 90% of the platform in order for the top 10% of the platform, which will be corporations, explicit corporate partners, and astroturfed individuals who have decided to take a contract with YouTube. They'll explicitly pay them, celebs and shit like that, or people like PewDiePie that already made it really big and they can't cut them loose. That'll be the platform. They'll be like 1% of the views will go to 90% of the platform after a while. In fact, the stratifying of YouTube is oddly enough very similar to the way in which the US economy has become stratified over time. If you're in the top 10%, you break even. If you're in the top 1%, you shoot way ahead. If you're in the 90%, you get fucked. And that's basically the way that it's operating economically, especially with Dempression Beijing Biden potentially coming in there. That'll be a big problem. But I just thought it's surreal. It's surreal that I would get this email celebrating my year, like a personalized little thing with all of my wonderful analytics. Oh my God, so many millions of views and likes, and people share your material 10 quadrillion times, and we're so proud of you. You got over 80,000 new subscribers in a year where you're actively being suppressed and towards the end outright shadow banned on our platform. Congratulations. It's surreal. Why even bother sending me the email? Why didn't you just send me an email telling me to fuck myself? Why not just send me an email saying, look, you mattered 4 or 5 years ago. You did a great job, kid. Now here's a cigar and go home, basically. At this point, YouTube is showing such an asinine and outrageous level of abuse and hate to its own user base that my main worry isn't about me getting banned. My main worry is about a mass exodus of users leaving the platform high and dry to the point where it's no longer competitive enough to bother working on. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about YouTube destroying itself. After 12 years working with a platform, which until the last couple of years was a platform, now it's acting more and more like a publisher. If you alienate the whole private user base, look, most people on YouTube don't more than sporadically make content, but it is still a main style of use, and a lot of that creates a sort of bond. It creates a spirit of community that would be completely lacking if those people decide to leave because they can't get any sort of steam going. If they can't gain any traction, they're going to leave the platform, go where the going's good. They'll make videos, they'll make streams on Twitch, or they'll go to DLive, or they'll get a BitChute or an Odyssey channel. They'll be on Rumble or something. They'll be on Minds. They'll have a video blog or something. They'll use some other site. They'll go to Vimeo if they're crazy. If they're completely stupid, they will go to Vimeo. If they're intelligent, they will use alt tech or some doppelganger. But I mean, come on, you can't abuse your own user base repeatedly and expect the same kind of bond and spirit of community that leads to the sort of metrics that we see here. Where a person who's shadowbanned with an obtuse username, shadowbanned, working from home, not even in a home office, with a basic bitch fucking setup, can manage to gain those kind of metrics on the site while being actively suppressed. You're not going to have that anymore. That traffic is going to go somewhere. The time usage isn't going to change. It's just going to shift away from YouTube. When YouTube does this, when YouTube tells people that it's demonetized and struck down videos, and it's telling them they can't talk about certain political topics that are perfectly lawful, that YouTube explicitly had no problem with until the last few weeks. When you do these things, you ruin the community of the site that until very, very recently was a sort of in-group thing. Being a YouTuber was being part of a broad community of hundreds of millions of people. Now it's just sort of you upload videos on a site that happens to be called YouTube. And increasingly the U is basically taking a backseat on that platform. I mean, I no longer explicitly consider myself a YouTuber. I'm a content creator. I suppose generally I was anyway, but I mean, I've branched out considerably on other sites. It's because of shit like this. The abject blind spot that YouTube shows towards its own creative structure. That's the problem. That's about all. Peace out.